Grammy Museum we were going today, and then they had like a spontaneous out of the blue party just pop up, so they shut down today. What is your name?
My name is Ray.
He said Race. Hello, Caroline.
Fine.
Aria. Where you at? There you go.
Right in here. Mom/Amber.
That's Amber.
So we're gonna go tomorrow. So I had to shift the whole itinerary, and it takes a lot of time. And I found something today that where we're gonna eat tomorrow that's blowing me away. It's absolutely, honestly, brought me to tears. Some of the stories I was reading about this restaurant we're gonna go to that just opened back up. So I'm excited. You got a smile on your shirt. So we've been driving 2 hours and 30 minutes, 2 hours and 40 minutes. So it takes a while. So then they need to stretch by climbing on poles and stuff. Me saying, watch your step.
Yeah.
Get off of that. Don't get hurt. And it would be like an hour long, I'm sure, in one day. Because I'm a helicopter parent. This place, I know the kids will be super excited to come to. The Biedenhorn Coca-Cola Museum, where it was first bottled here. And what the kids will appreciate, they might not remember it's the first, but they'll remember that they got a Coca-Cola float here. Oftentimes the parents like the historical stuff and the kids like the sweets. We passed by a couple of times and it's closed like twice. So we're super excited to get an early start today. Cool.
I have a sandwich with bacon. Do you want a coffee?
No, ma'am, that's okay.
What is that? Trudy?
Oh, that's the best stuff in the world. That's what my mom used to get me when we went to town. Vicksburg, 1894. Alright, so guys, the Biedenhorn is the first place they ever bottled Coca-Cola. Do you notice the sound of all the Coca-Colas? That was a big thing.
Look how tiny that is, though.
Huh?
The rope.
What's the slogan? If you buy the world a Coke, something. The world would be a happier place, I think.
Well, I only had a dime.
You might as well say, oh, I don't know. Mama's got enough. Okay.
Look how much there is.
What? No.
Can I have
We might. Who knows? We might.
No. So, Caroline.
Counting our pennies.
Alright,
Yeah.
Here, Caroline. No, I'm filming.
Oh, you
And threw it out.
Alright.
Alright, now can I have the rest of the pennies once you have
Yes.
yours?
What's on it?
Can I do mine?
Yeah.
Ooh, what a pretty view.
Grace,
Root beer was always my thing, though. It tastes like actual root beer.
You gonna get one?
I'm getting
Then
root
I
beer.
get root beer.
Yeah.
Of course you're getting root
Sure,
beer.
I'll get one.
I'm getting root beer.
Yeah.
I have some
I
yummy
like
banana flavor.
Well, we just left the Biedenhorn Coca-Cola Museum, and it was a lot of fun. Sometimes we go to museums and it takes, kind of 2 to 3 hours, and which we're about to go to a larger one, and they're fun too. But stopping at the ones that only take about 20 minutes is great, especially when you get a refreshment like we got with the Coca-Cola floats and the Barks root beers and stuff. The history behind it all was really, really, really neat. People forget about the things that started in Mississippi. The first bottling of Coca-Cola being right here in Vicksburg, and Barks root beer in Biloxi. We've seen that as well. So it's just neat to see the great accomplishments that we've had in Mississippi. Hopefully we won't break any artifacts in the museum. But that's why you walk a good enough distance and pretend they're not ours.
Dad. I said road.
Mm-hmm. So sometimes when we travel, it does not always go well. I know in social media and videos and pictures, usually you show the good times, the best times, but not the worst times. And I always like people to hear about the bad too. I know we just posted about when we went camping and the tent failed and it rained in our tent for about 2 hours and we made the best of it and pretended we were on a ship at sea. So those things happen. But as we're traveling too, we were just talking about how we've had flat tires, we've locked our keys in the car. Once we left church, where they had this message about how bad things happen, but just have faith that everything's going to be okay. And leaving church on the way to my mother's for her birthday, I was going over the lesson with the kids and saying, you know, did you understand? You know, things happen, but you just got to have faith.
And then those are ones that haven't been used, they were just made.
And that.
Well, sometimes they have to open them.
We started getting steamboats going up and down the Mississippi River again. And I want to ride on one of those, but they're super expensive.
Yeah, they are.
Do y'all remember the story of the teddy bear? Can y'all tell us, somebody, one of you? Aria, do you remember?
So basically, there was this guy named Teddy Roosevelt.
Yeah, he was just a
And
guy.
he
Was he
was
just a
hunting.
guy?
Yeah.
He was the president.
And he's supposed to kill a bear or something, and didn't want to kill it, so that's
He
what
was
got.
chained
And
up.
and then they made the first teddy bear.
And they thought it
Wow.
was so funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they named the bear after him,
Teddy
Teddy. And that was in Onward, Mississippi, close to Rolling Fork.
On 61.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And what a lot of people don't know is that we have a teddy bear museum that might be the largest in the world, down southwest on the Gulf Coast of Mississippi. And we went there. We spent over 3 hours there looking at teddy bears.
That's a thimble. You know what that's for? For your thumb when you're sewing.
So it won't cut.
So you won't poke your thumb. Mm-hmm.
Was sterilization. One of the doctors realized that, they had ran out of sewing supplies for wounds. So when they were suturing folks up, they had to switch to horsehair. But the horsehair was so tough. You couldn't sew with it, so you'd have to boil it first, and that would make it palatable.
Yeah.
And they realized that after they boiled it, people weren't getting infections. So they assumed that it must be horsehair doesn't cause infection.
Figured it out.
Yeah.
I teach English,
Mm-hmm.
and we just had a section on, I have a theme for the class. There are many ways to tell a story.
Yeah.
And we have a whole section on media.
Okay.
And recording of histories. Sometimes it's factual, sometimes it's
right.
not.
Perspective
Think
plays
for
a.
ourselves.
You're absolutely right.
It's the same kind
Exactly.
of thing. He literally tested it out and said, okay, I want to see if they'll believe this.
Mm-hmm.
Put it in a legitimate journal. People think, well, it's fact.
Well, yeah, it has to be
100%.
fact. It's been peer reviewed now.
Same
Yeah,
stuff
there it
happens
is.
today, you know.
It does.
Yeah, I like to hear all the stories, whether true or not. It's up to us to figure out how true they are.
Absolutely.
That's cool. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, no problem. It's funny.
It is funny.
It really is.
They saw that and said, okay, we need to erase these things. Okay, I would like to see that. I would like to see that.
It ain't gonna fall. They got a pin going up here. It ain't gonna fall. It ain't gonna fall. They got a pin going up here. Blew the outfit will be literally about the life experience you had with your
Yeah.
telephone.
It's like a living thing, and you're right there in the presence of it. Listen to my plea. Listen, Willow, and weep for me.
My mom, she did all the cooking. Fish, bean trout, red rose, Red Rover wasn't going to pour. Buffalo fiction was 30 cents.
We are on our way to Greenville to the what is it called? Winterfield Mounds? Is that right? That's right. And so we got a little bit of drive ahead of us. But thankfully, Supermom here saved the day. Just like I jinxed ourselves earlier, I talked about all the problems that can happen when you're traveling. I immediately jinxed us, and our battery died. So, but thankfully, it died outside of Bentonia Bluefront Cafe, which is part of the birth of the blues out here. And we got to actually interview the man himself, Mr. Duck Holmes. He told us about, the kids interviewed him about how he learned the blues from the greats. And who was it that I asked his favorite song? Was that Race? Race asked his favorite song, and he said you can't have a favorite blues song because it can't be recorded. Blues is a living thing. It's alive and meant to be performed and seen in the moment. And I was like my brain exploded. Sometimes when bad things happen, like your battery dies, it just gives you more time to learn from the blues legends and experience the Delta. So, journey goes onward, on to Greenville. We are at the Winterville Mounds, and it's just so interesting to be driving down the highway and you see these ceremonial mounds where the Chickasaw or the Choctaw, because they all kind of blended together there at the end, had these ceremonies and honestly buried their dead here. But over 1,000 years ago, I think it's 1,600 years ago, this area just looked totally different. Had a quick little trip around the mounds, learned an awful lot. We had the second largest mound in between the Emerald Mound of Natchez and those in Illinois. We were attacked by bugs. Y'all all look pitiful. Like all in a row. Every one of them. But we're tough. No dead batteries or bugs are gonna stop us. But we've had a lot of fun. Mound and plazas. Chiefs and high-ranking tribe leaders live in structures atop the largest mounds. I didn't know that. 55 feet. It's the tallest remaining mound. Wait, when I hold up. One of the tallest remaining mounds in the United States. I think it's third. Like I said, it's about the size of a 5-story building. All right, Winterville Mounds. Well, we came out here, and now we're going to eat the world's best tamales and slap them on our bites, and I think that cures everything. So we are at Doe's Eat Place in Greenville because they're supposed to have the world's best tamales. And I love tamales.
Can I have a Dr. Pepper? And can I have a root beer?
You can.
Without ice?
Okay.
Aria, you love tamales. Well, how do you feel about tamales?
Yeah, I like tamales.
He likes tamales. The littles are not so sure. So we're going to see what happens when they eat it. Oh man, they're wrapped up now. What you think? This is exciting. All right.
You try it first. Why are you eating your cracker like that? You just like why do you put it in like that?
We just left Doe's place and we got world famous tamales and a couple of extra. You get a lot of tamales. It's a good price and it is amazing. They were super fast. And on the way out, I didn't try the steak, but there was a huge steak bigger than any of our kids, I believe, So everyone's got to check that out. And now we are on our way to Ground Zero Blues Club. Hey! We are at Ground Zero Blues Club, Morgan Freeman's place. And they've got a mural on the wall that pretty much shows everything we just drove through. We drove through Robert Johnson's Crossroads. We drove through a place called Alligator, Mississippi that I didn't know we had. They got a different seasoning and their batter is super good, and the chicken is super juicy and tender. It's good. It's about some of the best chicken I've had. 2,000 miles on make this dark my home. It was awesome. It was a lot of fun. We saw the blues a little bit all up and down the delta, from the south delta to the north delta, east and west. We made a big old oval shape on the roads. We saw even Duck Holmes' name was on the wall at the end there at the Ground Zero. And we had a great time, but we are all exhausted. So we're going to get a good night's rest and get back at it again tomorrow at the Grammy Museum, I believe.
And where are we at?
We are at the Mulberry, and it is beautiful, and I hope the beds are just as beautiful.